to the Moment Online. My name is Karen James, and on today's segment, we're going to talk about the Ocha Brigade. I spoke with the PPRO and also deputy of Ocha Brigade. Stay tuned and listen to what he said. My name is Karen James, and I'll be right back. Don't forget to share, like, and comment. As they see, every day we learn, and that's what they learn. We make sure we push to the world to learn also. Stay tuned and listen to what the interview said. Thank you.
I'm Superintendent Abafne Anthony Onyekwel. By providence, I'm the population officer, also double as the PM, that is the personal manager of Operation Clean and Healthy Anambra. I double also as the deputy managing director, Superintendent General, of Ocha Brigade. My principle is a man of inclusiveness, a servant leader, comrade, Celestine Anere is the one with the mantle of leadership of Ocha Brigade. He took up the mantle as at 26th of October 2022. Is currently the substantive managing director, Superintendent General of Ocha Brigade. Environment, as I may call it, is a state of abode. They say environment helps innovation, and innovation helps environment. And now you are particularizing your question to a certain area, which is market. Ocha Brigade, as a servant of the state, we are corporately statutory, made to be the task force of the day, Anambra State. With that name, Operation Clean and Healthy Anambra, synonymously HES, HES. HES means health, environment, and safety. Currently, Ocha Brigade works with some other relevant agencies resident in Anambra State, both the federal and state one. The federal agencies, they provide backup, in case if we are indulging or if we are on enforcement operation. But in other types of operation, we have various types of operation: monitoring, surveillance, patrol, aberdeen, pin down. Like, for example, when you get to a Koka in Anambra State, you will see Ocha Brigade visibly there. To get me, their primary assignment is to make sure that they decongest areas that the state or the state placed EO, which is executive order, that people support not to place their market wares. And again, those areas they suppose not to place their market wares. If they observe such, we have a process. The process is this: we will at first time alert them through sensitization. We will, on the second stage, sanitize them before engaging enforcement if they continue. Like someone selling on a Sejin, someone building thatches, or what they call illegal structures, different from what the state known, one of the media like AGDA, physical planning, ASUDEB, Atigemi, they didn't want them to do such illegal structures. If it happened that AGDA, Oka Capital Territory Development Authority, or physical planning marked it red, Ocha Brigade will go in to facilitate arrest. That is during enforcement operation. Enforcement, as I said, usually be the last resort. We used to give an opt-in time advice. I mentioned the process. I told you through sensitization. And our sensitization goes in different way. We used to go through above the line, which you, the journalists, at times used to, through electronic media. ABS being the state media or agency used to help a lot. There you will see Ocha Brigade, Atigedme, voicing it out through both English and the language they understood, that is Igbo language, through some of our clips. Then we used to do the below the line, which is face-to-face, or at times pass or do what they usually call some personal interaction or roadshows, to make sure that we fully sensitize those who are defaulting the government, because this decongestion of various types, just like this period being the raining period, Atigedme, Ocha Brigade championed the cause to make sure that we extend that environmental orderliness by people desilting their diverging gullies, which they call water channels, gutters and other things, even both in residence and the business premises, to make sure that water pass freely to avoid causing some havoc, And when they desilt, the silts, Atigedme, must be evacuated. So at times they go in form of a joint task force with other media, ministry, department, agency. We work, as I told you, we work with with some of the relevant agencies like ASWAMA, physical planning, ADA. We also work with the main body that championed the cause of environment, which is Ministry of Environment. Currently, there's a challenge, like what they term to be the all Anambra States Atigedme community challenge too for trash or this plastic picking competition, which they streamline and made it in a sort of a model that the rural area, semi-rural and urban area will participate. But from the 179 communities Atigedme in Anambra State, they must participate willingly to make sure that issue of degradation, issue of other environmental hazards that can increase the erosion Atigedme prone areas to be so devastating. This is one of the cause Ocha Brigade champion, both in Onitsha, Oka, Nnewi. If you see the magic which our Mr. Governor, Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo, CFR, at the time when they did the kick-off of Ochanja 2022, you see the magic happening at Ochanja now. You see the Ochanja fountain. You see the whole of the area there. You see how magnificent it is in terms of innovation. That's why I said the environment helps innovation and innovation helps environment. The whole of Ochanja axis now, you see how the routing, make the environment, even in terms of his Atigedme health. You see the new general hospital being established for people living within that environment. That is a sort of enhancement, towards abroad. As I said, that environment helps innovation and innovation helps environment. So then in the area of security, when Ocha Brigade is engaging in any enforcement, they don't go alone. They work with other relevant agencies, armed relevant agencies like the AVG, Anambra Vigilante Group. They work with Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps. They work with police Nigeria's civil defense, all of them are federal agency resident in that is in Anambra. AVG is the Anambra Vigilante. You know, at times when we are going for enforcement, because Ocha Brigade currently doesn't bear arms, they will follow to make sure that there won't be anything dicey, you know, in terms of people who are resisting arrest. Because one of the primary assignments of Ocha Brigade, for those who default in tense order, Ocha Brigade is the one constitutionally, statutorily, that has the right to facilitate arrest and hand over to the legal authority. The legal authority comprises of the police and the court. So if it is something that will require immediate court action, mobile court action, they will institute that. If it is the one that will require for we contact, because we also work in collaboration with the Ministry of Justice. So we have the state lawyers that are working in secondment with Ocha Brigade, just like as we have the accountant from AD being posted here that works in secondment. So what they usually do is that when the Ocha Brigade accost some of these defaulters during the time of enforcement, they will bring them down to the brigade headquarters. If it is the ones that happen in the other axis, because we have the three zonal commands, we have the north, we have the south, we have the central. They will take them to that place to make sure they collect information regarding the suspects, because they remain suspects until their case being proved beyond reasonable doubt. So in some cases, our state lawyer will move immediately to get an arraignment notice if it happened that the case is beyond, if it is not a simple or a case of misdemeanor, if it is a case of treasonable felony or sort of nature, they will take it up. Then the litigation process and the prosecution process will be taken care of by our state lawyer. You know, so. But if it is ordinary accosting a defaulter on the street, advising a defaulter not to do such or sort of nature, like those who usually contravene by putting touches illegally on their houses and their business centers, what we usually do is to, first of all, after sensitization, as I said, we sanitize. After sanitization and the team persists, we give such people a contravention notice paper to know whether if they are going to abate. You know, like those who left their premises to be overgrown or carried away with unkept grasses. That's where Ocha Brigade, because as I rightly mentioned, the primary concept of Ocha Brigade is environmental cleanliness and orderliness. That's why at times when people hear the name Operation Clean, it's not only cleaning, but orderly formation. Orderliness is what Ocha Brigade, you see. So in that area of congestion, you notice that if you allow the market people, some people who doesn't usually follow the market operators, their instructions or sort of nature, or those who may attempt to be, because some people are prone to only engage in illegality. So you see somebody selling stuff at the roundabout instead of the normal stores. You know the danger it poses. You know the type of public disorderliness or peace that person can establish. Not only even the movement of vehicle have to be trampled. You get me? Sorry. Okay? So sorry for the little breakdown in transmission and also response. Is stay part of it, because we are like an environmental magnetist, you know. So anything that happens within the environment, Ocha Brigade as the servant of the state, not only because not only the state, for all that resident in Anambra State, I would say the whole populace, and the whole populace have some other link about the Nigerians. So whoever that is Ocha Brigade is interested not only in Anambra project but also in Nigerian project as Nigerians. You see, so for area of security risk, I will still say that we used to make sure that our job, unless if the one that is beyond human imagination.
Yes.
Our job has a process, just as I've listed now. I told you the types of different types of operation.
Yes.
When we deploy people for surveillance, you get me?
Yes, sir.
To monitor the environment. Through our training, we will be on the position of a servant.
Yes, sir.
You get me? That servant type of stature is to make sure we alerting whoever that want to go contrary or want to act, you get me,
yes,
contrary to the executive order of the state, which is the Mr. Governor's order and mantra and charge, because Ocha Brigade State Relay is being charged, you get me, to make sure that the environment is orderly and all that we used to interact with, even in our working, as I lightly mentioned, that we work with some other relevant medias, ministry, department, and agency. Our job and our relationship usually is very cordial. The essence of doing that is to make sure that both the left and the right, you get me, puts their best in order to achieve the rightful solution, because our sitting governor is Mr. Solution, and his mantra, again, goes in line with making Anambra clean, green, livable, prosperous, again, and a mega smart city, whereby any person, whether outside or inside, will experience what they call crime-free and a safe haven. You see, so Ocha Brigade, being a servant, need to do every of their primary assignment absolutely. You know, we are not God. If there's some area where I will say a lot of if there's some area they erred, you know, the essence of empathy, you get me, we come in, because before we do anything, we place ourselves in the shoe of others, right? We don't go in to work by bullying people or intimidating. We have a well-formalized policies attached. Our operations has its own policy, and all our policy is geared towards focusing on our bill of function. Our bill of function, we have the that is a government of Anambra State Assembly Atigenwe bill. So we don't go contrary to the bill. So every of our actions and inaction must be championed through the ambit of the law. You know. So on interim, all the people we've been working with, both that is from the media side or from the security side, we've been so cordial. It has been so cordial. But you know, if we shift from other type of operation to area of enforcement, you know, enforcement is just like two Latin words joined together, enforce and ment. You see, if you Google it, enforce is coercion, compulsion. You know, the one thing man is not good for is that when you bring some good advice to man, man will feel that you are giving him or her instruction. You see, so due to that cohesion, the essence of bringing Ocha Brigade as a servant or other military or paramilitary to come in to manage the cohesion, that's where that meant. You see, if you get enforcement, you break into two. Enforce is cohesion, meant is managing the cohesion. You know, so as our training goes, you know, because even our staffs, we train intermittently. It has not been long we come out from a retraining or reappraisal, again, both the new ones and the old ones, again, as at February, you know, and it will be continuous, because we said that that is literally, you know, that when you talk about someone being trained, it's like a knowledge. Knowledge is cumulative, knowledge is adaptive, knowledge is functional. You get me? And knowledge is life. The day you say you are tired of learning, that's the day you are tired of life. You understand? So we usually engage in continuous training of the staff, day in, night out. Even in our parade, before you see them, they are being deployed in the morning. They usually use BEGO to call them for parade, and that parade we used to brief them. After briefing them, when they close from work, we debrief again. Debriefing is they have closed from work, then you check up those whom you have sent. If you send 10 people, you make sure that those 10 people are complete and not that one person is missing. To get me? So these some of the things that are, but on the core mandate of Ocha Brigade is to facilitate arrest of defaulters and hand over to the legal authority. Then on our operation, again, the concept is monitoring, enforcement, and compliance. And why you see a lot of other media, relevant media, calling Ocha Brigade when they want to exercise their or execute their own job, because they know that Ocha Brigade is for orderliness, environmental orderliness. Like the AGDA I mentioned, we work with AGDA. When there are some people who go contrary to the state instruction, those who build things contrary to the perimeter fence, those who build illegal houses on top of Sejin, on top of Gota, that will cause blockage. You get me? So when such a thing comes, at times they used to invite us, we work in collaboration with them. So issue of security risk is normal because we are human beings. But how do we tackle those issues of insecurity? Again, we tackle it through orderliness approach, and I've made mention of it. We usually start by sensitizing the area where we observe such a thing happen. We sanitize the area, and then if it continues, we go into enforcement. Enforcement is not that you are trying to intimidate. Enforcement is to do what? To let the person know that he or she is not above the law. Right. That is the essence of that enforcement. So, but before we enforce, we usually, like this time around, if you get to that is on the area, you go to Oka, go to Newi, again, you observe that because of the erosion-prone environment, a lot of people now have started even going to IDP, again, internal displaced again, camps, because of things on erosion or water overflowing, So Ocha Brigade used to be of an assistant. We go for rescue missions when we are being invited. All these things are part of the responsibilities. Ocha Brigade champion as a cause, as one of the environmental agents, to make sure that orderliness is really instituted, The first thing first. I will thank the government of the day and that of the past. Again, because Ocha Brigade, through their historical milestone, the bet started somewhere before the deliverance was made from what they call favor room. They are no more calling it labor room, it is favor room. So Ocha Brigade bet started as early as 2015. Then on December 5th of December, again, the first ceremony was made to give it the name is bearing today, Operation Clean and Healthy Anambra. Again, starting from that period, you cannot just, they say that blood is not being imported in the body. It's what you eat in the body that generates the blood. Right. So with this, the name alone cannot carry itself. It's someone that will be delegated again to champion the cause of what Ocha Brigade is supposed to do in Anambra State. So from that 2015, the government was doing a lot of search to know who is that person that the cap fits to lead again or champion the cause of Ocha Brigade operationally and otherwise. That was when they appointed the late managing director, Chief Kenneth Ostadimma Okonkwo, alias Agunechibo. He died through ghastly accident 2017. It was after then that a rescue mission was sent. Then CP Adoba Ikechukwu Ayo Adoba, again a very noble man, came up. But late Kenneth, to his blessed memory, when you talk about action, he is action. When you talk about Ocha Brigade on its fullness, that is the man in question. But being that he has transited, the government, through their love, don't just want that spirit to just die like that. They send CP Adoba to at least to go for rescue mission. He was a retired commissioner of police. He did the best with his team. When he came, from the month of that May down to June, it was after then, because he was an interim managing director, superintendent general, after the death of the substantive MD, that is Kenneth Ostadimma Okonkwo Ochaga of Omawolo. So Onwa of Onitsha, BCP Adoba came for rescue mission and interim. After that, he handed over the banner to Mr. Patrick Obiefne, being a master warrant officer. Atigemi, he's a retired military person. He did his best. Atigemi, the situation in Ocha Brigade, he put his own, how will I call it, his own resourcefulness as a military personnel. From there, he served for some period before he was swapped Atigemi to ATMA, Anambra Road Transport Management Agency. Then the banner was handed over to engineer Douglas Felix Okafor. The Felix did his own best Atigemi before the current substantive MD. So as I was trying to give you the little history, Atigemi, that it doesn't just come, that spirit of Ocha Brigade, came into somebody as an inspiration. Then later it goes in form of a vision and a mission. So that was, they hosted the government of Chief Doctor Sir Willie Madabrochukwu Obiano. It was during that period, So from 2015, getting to 2016, they did their sieving, they did their diagonizing, they did their test casting, and said that Ocha Brigade, the way they want it to be, the state task force, and that before they will make it a state task force, they're supposed to have a training. So Ocha Brigade went for training in 2016, and it was within that 2016 that the Anambra State government, Atigemi, was sieving, dotting the I's and the crossing the T. It was within that period that the state assembly, Atigemi, sat, brought the motion, discussed about the motion, and approval of the agency, Atigemi, for recognition was made. That was on 29 November 2016. Approval was given. But being approval given also that nature, the sitting governor as at that time, which is Chief Dr. Sir Willie Madabrochukwu Obiano Akpoko Dike of Aguleri, he has to assent to it. So the assenting to the approval was made on 27th January 2017. Have you seen how the story goes? Approval as a full and statutory agency was made on 29th of November 2016. Then on 27th of January 2017, it was assented. And Ocha Brigade, by then, the first set, which they usually call, or we used to call, the Batch B, because the Batch A, at the time when they brought the name Ocha Brigade was manned with a constitution of various people from different ministries. Even some of our people, ABS, National Life, a lot of them were together. But immediately they say they want them to do what? To be a paramilitary task force of the state that they have to go to. So the first set that went for training, they call it Badge B. So Badge A are those that didn't go for training. Later on, they gave them a mark of option, or instruction, or directive of option. Those who want to go back to their ministry, they can go back to their ministry. I think about those who want to stay in Ocha Brigade, they join. Just about a few percentage, about 30% of them, they they went for training. I think and that first training, was the Badge B. After Badge B, in 2016, the Badge C went for their own training in 2017. And collectively, in terms of staff strength, both Badge B and A were made up, the government just put a benchmark of 300. There are 300 staff, within the benchmark. From that 2016 down to this period, what they are doing, we've not gotten a directive for us to step up, because before Ocha Brigade employ, it must be an instruction and a directive from the sitting governor. For people to know that this statutory agency, because we have what they call corporate statutory status, and perpetual succession type of status, So before any employment with the ADMAS, the whole of Anambarians or populace must know that that is with that 300 benchmark from 2016, a few ones that either seek for greener pasture, and get a different area. Maybe they enter the army, they enter road safety, or have their own personal job. If there's any space, those whom we use to replace them through indoor training, they call it replacement, replacement staff. And that replacement staff, we've not gone beyond the 300 benchmark up to now. But currently, the government on their own side have done a lot. The sitting government, the solution governor, Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo, CFR, has done marvelous. It was during this his tenure, they upgraded, they gave, the day he stepped his leg with his deputy to this arena, that's the headquarters here, number 3 Annam Street, Agoka, in Anambra State. That was the day he pronounced about stepping up with what Ocha Brigade. He gave us 10% and said more things are in the pipeline. So I'm pleading, because our job mostly needs, as I rightly mentioned, that Ocha Brigade is like an environmental magnetist. In the whole of the 79 communities and the 3 senatorial zone, Ocha Brigade spreaded their arm. And the essence of us is not in the headquarters alone. We have the 3 zones. We have the northern zone, which is Onitsha. We have the southern. The northern zone is having a zonal commander, that used to lead some staff, by name, currently by name, Daniel Martins. The southern zone, Daniel Martins CEO. The southern zone, we have Mr. Obi Emmanuel. He's also a retired soldier. The Namati is a retired soldier. At the central, we have currently Officer Oye. Oye Chukwemeka is the one at the central. That is, So at the headquarters here, when the substantive MD, our main principal, the man that has the scholar right, a quintessential managing director, a man of inclusiveness, a servant leader, Comrade Celestine A. Anere, he is the first security chief. So if there's anything have to do in terms of enforcement, in terms of government POS, that is personal operation services, he will pass the information from the commander of this zone here in the headquarters. We have the first commander before the commanders of the 3 senatorial zone, which in the in headquarters here we have somebody, Chukwebuka, Atigemi as the commander here. Then the 3 senatorial zones have their own various commanders. So we want, like, our job demands going out, Atigemi, interacting with the grassroots. Like as I mentioned now, at times you see, like all these IDP camps or sort of nature, Ocha Brigade used to be part of those who usually go for rescue mission. It is very cool. It's not, you cannot, and there is one other thing that they have to do for Ocha Brigade. As the task force agency, we need something like subvention. Subvention is security voted money, right? So if they will be attaching some subvention, the MD of the Ocha Brigade, Atigemi, have to manage it well, because the issue of some of the staff working beyond 8-10 hours, there are some things you can use to boost their morale. Like somebody that work Atigemi such, if it is not a shift job, you need to raise that person's morale Atigemi by either paying the person overtime, or at times you place them on citation. What I mean by citation is this, that someone who have done well, you try to appraise his or her effort, So with the security subvention, voter security money, this area, Atigemi, and also issue of their salary. Now they're talking about the minimum wage, to let the government, Atigemi, look into, because as I rightly mentioned, that the blood is not being imported in the body, it's what you eat in the body. And if we should go with the statement of Professor Seymour Fraud, when he talks about perception and need. Need is the state of health. Want is unlimited. And when you tell somebody, why do you work? The essence of working is to earn a living. And for someone to earn a living, that person is looking on two vital, Atigemi, points. The tangible, Atigemi, benefit and intangible benefit. The tangible benefit is the money, either salary, Atigemi. Because currently, I'm sorry to say, this currently what Ocha Brigade is earning is like a wages, not salary. You understand? It's not salary. If they earn salary, Atigemi, you see some allowances going into it, and if the government will do more favor, Atigemi, to interface them with the civil service, you will see more action. Atigemi, because one thing is this, why I mentioned about the tangible benefit, is that this issue of peanut being paid to somebody and that person will work beyond the normal accepted, Atigemi, hour. If the person didn't earn overtime towards those hours, it is a wasted hour. It will be affecting that person morally and otherwise. Right. Then the intangible one is a state of social security. You see, if they are being interfaced with the civil service of Anambra State, within their own mind, they will know that they will have something they call the gratuity and pension. Do you understand? These are intangible. If we should follow the 5 model of hierarchy, Atigemi, of Professor Abraham Maslow, Atigemi, Abraham Maslow made in his 5 hierarchy, he talked about the physiogenic or biogenic needs. From the physiogenic to biogenic need, you have what they usually call the esteem need. The esteem need is a part of security focus. Atigemi, by then you have gotten your education. A lot of staff of Ocha Brigade, Atigemi, are dangerous professionals. I call it dangerous because some of them are even within their level of readership. What I mean is associate professors. Some of them have masters. Atigemi, a lot of them are graduates. You have the artisans, the public recruited people, So now, when you make sure that their morale is not being kept below reasonable, interface them with civil service, they will be having the mind that even if after the work, they are somewhere they are going to lay their hand. And again, issue of social security comes in when you talk about resourcefulness. Resourcefulness. For somebody to be resourceful, you have to be watching that person KPI, key performance indicator. You get me? And if you didn't put anything in something you cultivated, you don't expect big harvest. Do you understand? I'm just talking this one, is just to let you know in terms of management. I'm a system theorist. As an administrator, I know motivation matters so much. So tangible benefit come in, issue of salary, to make sure that they get salary, get something that are reasonable. Then issue of intangible one, social security. We are not talking about self-actualization as Abraham Maslow made mention of, but we are talking about the biogenic needs, making sure that the clothing, the housing, you get me, are covered. Then before we start talking about the esteem ever, because from the esteem needs that they will place themselves within what they usually call social class. All these things affect. Last time you could see how people are talking about minimum wage. Some people who are discussing about minimum wage are the schoolmates. You get me? They are the same alumnus of one university or the other. But that person may be opportune to be in the red carpet, you get me, as a sort of senator or whatever. That person may be earning millions of naira. But you are discussing about minimum wage of either 30,000 or something thousand for your fellow colleague who wasn't opportune, but that person is in one ministry or the other. So the government, I'm pleading, you get me, and it's just a sort of a humble petition, you get me, to Mr. Governor to look into the area of both tangible and intangible benefits. Most effectively, issue of vehicle. You could see the whole of the zonal commanders at Igemi we have, no one has been given a vehicle. Even the new MD, he has just been managing a lot of things. He just by himself. He has done a lot of it. It's not something I have to start talking of. That's why I call him a man of inclusiveness, a servant leader. You get me? What he's doing, even some of the vehicles that's supposed to be in comatose, he tried to put life into them to make sure that Ocha Brigade didn't fail in their primary responsibility before the Anambra populace. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
I still remain, if I say officer, but I told you I'm Superintendent Abwafne Anthony Onyekwel, the Deputy Managing Director of Ocha Brigade. I double as the population officer of Ocha Brigade and the personnel manager, person in charge of all the personnel of Ocha Brigade.